Welcome to Crime and Plastic, a gripping podcast where I, Dr. Miami, one of the world's top plastic surgeons, and my co-hosts, Santina and Rosie, delve into the often unseen world where true crime and plastic surgery intersect.
Each week, Dr. Miami will share his expertise and insights into the complex world of cosmetic procedures, while Santina and I give you the shocking details of criminal investigations.
From notorious criminals undergoing drastic transformations to evade the law, to even our own personal encounters with true crime and plastic surgery, all will be uncovered.
So sit back, relax,
Or don't.
because this is Crime and Plastic.
Welcome back, everyone, to Crime and Plastic. How was your week?
Fantastic.
That's good.
I'm back operating. You know, I was away on vacation, so I'm back, and it was exciting.
It was a busy week.
Making people happy, making some funny TikToks. How was your week, Santina?
My week was actually better than yours. Thanks for asking.
What?
Yeah, because I actually made the funny TikToks. You were just in them.
I'm your puppet. I get it.
No, I don't even know what happened this week. I dissociated.
Do you do that a lot?
Sometimes. I did 2 booty workouts this week.
You did? I did them with you.
Speaking of dissociated, Pete Davidson's in rehab in Boca this week
Okay.
for a ketamine habit that he's had for 6 years. Dissociative. That was what kicked it off for me. And he's playing at the Improv like all week, this whole next couple of weeks.
While in rehab, he's doing stand-up?
Yeah. Part of his therapy.
Oh, okay.
So it's like an outpatient.
No, it's inpatient, but I think they let him out.
We should go see him.
I would love to see him.
Also,
Fun fact, he loves stand-up comedy. It's like his favorite thing to go watch.
Yeah.
But my sister hates it.
And my sister, my wife hates it. So it's like, and I'm like the easiest stand-up audience ever. Like I'm there like with a smile on my face in the very beginning, laughing at every little shit. Like even the waitresses make me laugh.
Yes, he loves stand-up comedy.
all the stand-ups I've gone to were really uncomfortable. They were really bad, and I was sitting there like I get like a pity laugh.
You got to go into it in the stand-up. Like I get into like a state where I'm just ready to laugh at anything.
I've been to good ones.
Well, you guys are from New York. That's where the good ones are. You go to a fucking
Yes.
stand-up in Miami, and it's like crash and burn. Get the fuck out of there.
When I was in high school, I used to go to this, it was called the Olive Tree or something, or the Comedy Cellar. Like it was like in the basement, and they would just have comics there all night, 24 hours a day. You can go anytime and just sit there and you order like a Coke and just listen to the comics trying out their shit.
Do they still have that Caroline's? Is that still open in New York?
It might be. I'm sure it is.
Yeah. I saw Damon Wayans there. He was fabulous.
Yeah.
Fun fact, in high school when I was a junior or senior, I was actually obsessed with stand-up comedy, and I begged my parents not to go to college because I wanted to be a stand-up comedian.
Why didn't you?
Because I'm not a fucking loser.
You know, that is problematic because there are probably at least 3 stand-up comedians listening to this podcast, and you just insulted them and called them losers.
Is it still like a deep down desire of yours?
No.
No. You're glad they didn't. You're glad they didn't let you.
I feel like now I would like my deep down desire is like to segue into comedic acting, but like I wouldn't want to write my own shit.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's very hard.
It's not easy.
No.
And it's like it's like degrading. It could be so degrading to stand up there and just like.
Had you ever done it? Like
No.
done a stand-up comedy? So what made you want to do that?
I was obsessed with stand-up comedians. Like I would watch a bunch of stand-up. Like I would watch them get interviewed on like podcasts and stuff like that. I was like,
Who was your favorite? I know this about you, but I didn't.
I didn't know this about her. This all news to me.
No, she's told me about it, but I forgot who your favorite comedian was.
I had a couple. I really liked Anthony Jeselnik.
He's funny.
Yeah.
He's dark.
He's dark.
He's dark.
Oh, obviously Dave Chappelle.
Everyone loves Dave Chappelle. He can do it all, though. He's been a stand-up comic since he was like 11. Like that dude's been working on his act for 30, 40 years. I like Norm Macdonald. He rest in peace. He was my favorite.
I really like Sebastian Maniscalco. He's funny.
Yeah,
And
he's funny.
Bill Burr's also funny.
Bill Burr's hilarious.
Didn't they have a show, like a competition show, like be the next stand-up comedian or something
Oh,
like
Last
that?
Comic Standing?
Yeah, Last Comic Standing.
That's where Amy Schumer's from.
Really?
She won Last Comic Standing, and like the prize that they would take you like on a not worldwide, countrywide tour. Like you would join.
Nice.
So like that's how she really got her start.
Yeah, that's the worst part about being a stand-up comic, I'm sure, is having to travel to like every little stand-up place possible.
The worst part is that you have to like go to these clubs and pay them to do stand up.
You do?
Yeah, like
What kind of a business model is that?
no, because it's super competitive. You never researched the stand up.
No, I didn't research it. No.
It's yeah.
But he also had a desire to be that. He was going to take a class, and he even bought this like brick wallpaper that he.
We did it on the fourth
He had
floor.
a brick wallpaper.
I was going to take an improv class at the improv place if
Yeah.
I ever had free time.
And he had a stand-up mic, and he was going to start taking classes.
Rosie suggested the classes, but I'm like, when am I going to go? Like on a Tuesday night? When do I have time?
Well, you're old now and you could do it.
That would be something I could do in retirement.
You could be like that guy. What's his name?
I could be the oldest stand-up comic ever.
like that Asian guy from The Hangover. What's his name?
I would. That would be ideal.
He was a doctor and then he became a
He
stand-up.
was a real doctor,
Yeah.
and he became a real comedian and an actor. Really,
Life goals.
He had a TV show
Life
that didn't fail.
goals. He did have a TV show that didn't fail. Dr. Ken.
Yes.
I did fail though. Got canceled. So technically,
After like 3 or 4 seasons.
we're practically the same.
So speaking of stuff that's not funny, do you have any horrible news to share with us this week?
Of course, if I could hear my Crime and Plastic music, I would give you all. There it is. Crime and Plastic weekly news update. I have one story this week. Most plastic surgeons behaved themselves this week, and there's only one person to talk about. Atlantic Plastic Surgery in Portsmouth was founded in 1985 by Dr. Lawrence Gray. So he's been in practice for like 30-something years.
Almost 40.
Almost 40 years. His license was suspended, revoked immediately. A bunch of mishaps in the last couple of years.
Well, he had a good run.
He had a fantastic run, but then he had at least 20 surgeries that had to have surgery corrected by another doctor, and a wrong site surgery, which is that's like the third rail of surgeons. You can't operate on the wrong site.
So what site did he operate on?
It
And
doesn't
what was he supposed
say,
to operate on?
It doesn't say the details exactly. But the government said that he was an immediate threat to public health and safety and just yanked his license. So
All right, it's probably time for him to retire.
it could be. I hope he's got a nest egg built
Yeah.
up. But a wrong site surgery is like the left breast instead of the right breast, or like wrong side of the brain, or take out a kidney instead of something else. In plastic surgery, wrong site usually means the wrong operation.
Right.
Because we usually don't operate on just like one breast
Right.
and not the other. We operate on usually like midline structures. Like,
Can you imagine
a tummy tuck.
you came for like a BBL and you wake up with like a tummy tuck? I would fucking kill someone.
yeah, I'd
Yeah.
be pissed.
I would be like I would be on Crime and Plastic.
You'd be on Crime and Plastic. And that was the Crime and Plastic Minute. I hope next week there's no plastic surgeons that misbehave and have to be on my Crime and Plastic Minute.
No news is good news.
But there always seems to be news. Okay, what wonderful crime and plastic surgery story do you have to tell us
I don't know if wonderful is the right adjective. but-
intriguing,
Okay.
interesting.
So this story actually happened close to home in Aventura, which for the audience, that's like 15, 20 minutes from our office, homes, all of that. In 2007, Adam Kaufman and Lena Kaufman, happily married couple by all accounts. Adam wakes up at 5 o'clock.
How old are they?
At the time, they were 33 and 34.
Oh, so young.
Yeah. So they're about your age. No, I'm saying now. Adam
They
is.
would be my age.
Yes.
You mean your age?
No. I'm saying in 2000.
Your age like 50 years ago?
51.
50 years ago.
No, I'm not
You were that
100.
age.
I'm not 100.
So I'll tell you the story of Adam and Lena. They met in the late 90s at a party, hit it off, dated for 3 years, got married in 2000, beautiful wedding, had 2 kids, lived in.
I think I remember this story.
You probably do.
Very attractive couple.
Very, very good looking couple. He's like 6'3", like football
player guy. She's
And
from like Denmark or something.
She's actually, I think she's Russian, but she grew up in Denmark and she spoke like 5 languages.
Yes.
She's beautiful, very
Yes.
sophisticated. They had 2 kids. By all accounts, happy marriage. They lived in like Aventura Lakes in a nice house.
Me and Ava wanted to buy a house in Aventura Lakes when we first moved,
Yeah, I remember that.
and we couldn't afford it. It was really nice, though.
Yeah, he's a successful real estate developer, and she had a family like high-end furniture shop that she managed. November 7th, 2007, Adam wakes up. This is his account. at 5 in the morning. Turns around, Lena's not in bed. They had a baby, so he figured she was feeding the baby or taking care of the baby. Goes back to sleep. Wakes up an hour later. Lena's still not back in bed. So he said that he had like a pit in his stomach. Like, I don't know, he just felt like something was wrong. He wakes up, he goes to the bathroom. There's varying accounts. Either some people say he said she was slumped over the toilet, and some people say that he said that she was slumped over the magazine rack. This becomes an important detail later. But at this point, she's unconscious. He calls 911.
Okay. She's not breathing? No. I don't know what happened. She's on the floor dying. Okay, oh my God, I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Adam calls 911, hysterical, that he's screaming on the phone. His wife is unconscious. He doesn't know what to do. And he's like, they try to walk him through doing compressions. He tries to figure out how to do compressions. He says she's like foaming at the mouth. He's hysterical. And then the ambulance took like 20 minutes to get there because they said they got lost in Aventura Lakes.
Me and Ava wanted to buy our first house in Aventura Lakes. We couldn't afford it. We ended up buying in Surfside for like half the money, but it was a brand new community at that time. These are like gorgeous houses, like 5,000 square feet, but it's like McMansions, like rows and rows of identical looking houses, very close together, like 2 feet between each, almost like townhouses, but not really. There's like a 2 feet thing. So they're very close together, and they all look alike, pretty much, like two different models or something.
So it makes sense that they had a hard time finding the house.
But Aventura Hospital is like literally, you could walk there.
Right.
I mean, the hospital literally is a 5-minute walk. So why the ambulance took 20 minutes? That is a little bit excessive, even with the getting lost. But okay, it was a new neighborhood back then, so maybe they hadn't been in there.
Yeah.
And it's gated,
Well, that's actually just a side note. If God forbid you have to call the ambulance, you should really send somebody, if you can, outside to look for the ambulance, to bring them, to kind of show them, direct them, to move them along.
Right, but he just had little toddlers.
Yeah, he couldn't in this instance, but then the ambulance finally came. They brought her to the hospital, pronounced dead. So Lena died, and Adam claims he has no idea why. She's 33 years old, healthy,
no enemies, no arguments,
nothing to
no
explain,
burglars, nothing.
No, nothing to explain why a healthy 33-year-old woman just woke up, died in her bathroom, slumped over a toilet or magazine rack.
Well, there must be an autopsy.
So, yes. So they do an autopsy, and Adam is calling the medical examiner to try to find out why his wife died. He doesn't understand. He wants to get answers. Then he's talking to the police. He's telling them what happened. Also, he has a twin brother, Adam, Seth. Identical.
Right.
Identical twin.
Two big, strong, handsome guys.
Yeah, you can tell them apart if you know them, but they look completely the same. And him and his fiance also lived in Aventura Lakes. He called them when the ambulance came for Lena. They ran over and, saw like everything that was happening. Then Lena got taken to the hospital. 18 months later, Adam and his brother Seth, they own also an ice cream shop in Aventura.
Okay.
He was working at the shop. He sees the laser pointers at him. He's under arrest. The detective Angula, this was his first murder case. He was a rookie detective. He gets arrested. He still is in shock that, he's being accused of murdering his wife that he's still grieving over.
Well, that's why they didn't tell him what the cause of death was.
The medical examiner in Florida said the cause of death was mechanical asphyxiation.
Why did it take so long?
I thought that was a reasonable question. I don't know why it took them so long for 18 months to...
Wouldn't that be like something you see immediately? I'm not a pathologist.
So when they did get Lena, she did have marks on her neck, but no physical evidence of Adam on her. She just had marks on her neck and she was slumped over unconscious and dead. Her heart stopped.
But also, isn't that kind of suspicious that she had no physical evidence of Adam when they're literally married?
Maybe they had.
I'm sure they had some DNA.
They
from
didn't
him.
have,
I mean,
like,
he
any-
did compression on her
They didn't have like defense like
under
you
the
know,
fingernails,
under fingernails or like any suspicious.
his thumbprints or something.
Yeah, they didn't have any suspicious physical activity. What they said, it was almost like the marks on her neck were almost like she was like scratching her neck because she was trying to breathe. Like when
like somebody was,
or like somebody was either wrapped around her or she was just like clawing at her like because she couldn't breathe.
but so she had scratch marks on her neck
She had marks on her neck, suspicious marks on her neck.
of her own fingers,
They don't really tell you with any certainty what they were.
but
But
no like handprint or a
No.
rope or anything.
I could show you the pictures of her.
I
it
would
were
love
her-
to see the pictures.
Okay.
If it were her clawing at her own neck, wouldn't she have DNA under her fingers?
Well, she didn't have Adam's DNA.
I'm saying
I don't know if
they
she-
could have they could have concluded that it was her, like that's the cause.
So Adam goes to jail and then he has a bail hearing. So the defense's theory of her death is kind of what makes this case famous, is that they blamed it on a spray tan that she got like a couple of days before her death. It wasn't a murder.
It was
Before
a
her
couple of days before the death.
Yeah. No, I think it was the day before her death.
Okay.
She got a spray tan because Adam's brother was getting married in the next
Right. The fiance
he was in
down
the
the
next
block.
Yeah, he was about to get married, so she wanted to get a spray tan for the wedding.
Right.
So in the bail hearing, that's what they say that she had some sort of crazy allergic reaction to the spray tan.
Delayed like that?
And it was the first time she ever had a spray tan.
Oh.
So they were just bringing that as a theory of the case.
Mhm.
Nobody really bought that. And he was actually denied bail at first.
Oh,
But then the judge reconsidered, I think because he has 2 small children, which
right.
maybe that's a reason to keep him in jail. I don't know. But he had 2 small children and he goes home on bail. So then the trial is set so the murder happened in 2007. 2009, they arrest him and he has his bail hearing. And then his murder trial doesn't happen until 2012. So the prosecution's theory of the case is that, well, first base, the medical examiner said that she was asphyxiated. Then they said in the house, it looks like Lena was apparently very neat and kept everything orderly. And the kitchen was like, she had like a half-eaten banana. Like she was in the middle of breakfast, it looked like. And they think that her and Adam got into a fight and he strangled her. They also said that there are some discrepancies on what Adam said, that either she was slumped over the toilet or the magazine rack. Why that's important is because they were trying to say that her heart stopped and then she fell over the magazine rack and that's what caused the marks on her neck because she was like kind of slumped over it like that. So they said that first he said she was over the toilet and then the magazine rack, so he had a discrepancy there. They also said he acted very strange, like he was alternating between being like hysterical and very calm when the paramedics were there. So they brought testimony that he was acting weird. And then they also said that his car, that he allegedly was home, like in bed,
Right.
but he was dressed in clothes and that his car felt warm to the touch. So they think he might have gone out, came home, fought. Like I said, by all accounts, they had a really happy marriage. There was no issues, not like the other stories that we've talked about where, they were getting strangled all the time or
killing cats.
Or having affairs. Like there was no evidence of an affair on either side. There was no history of domestic violence. There was no fighting, nothing. So the only disagreement that Adam and Lena had recently is also Seth's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Adam was Seth's best man and his fiance, Raquel, wanted him to walk down the aisle with her maid of honor. So Lena was upset that he wasn't walking down the aisle with her.
Yeah.
So that was like some tension that they were having. But Adam says he's like, I stayed out of it. It's not, he didn't want to get involved between his brother and his wife. And her friends say she was really upset about it. So that's the only thing they think they fought about. And it ended up in her dying, him strangling her and her dying.
But that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't really. That's the thing. Like when I first heard about this case, it was, you always think the husband did it.
Because they always do.
Right? But there's really no, like I said, there's no friend of hers that said Adam was mistreating her. There's nobody who like says anything was wrong with their marriage.
Could he have snapped? He was a football player looking dude. I remember that from the pictures. Was he on steroids? Did he have like some kind of roid rage thing?
No evidence.
Roid rage.
Did she eat his banana that he wanted? I mean,
No evidence of that. And then Adam explains like the bizarre behavior that the paramedics and saying that he wasn't in his pajamas and he was dressed.
Yeah.
Is that they think that they confused him with his twin brother. Because his twin brother came right away when Leela was being worked on by the paramedics, and he came in clothes, and maybe he was calm and Adam was hysterical.
Right.
So they could have mixed up the two of them, which to me is plausible.
That is plausible.
They look exactly alike.
That is plausible.
You know?
Couldn't they establish whether he'd actually, isn't that something you can establish, whether he was home?
They say he wasn't home, but they have no witnesses, no GPS, no phone records of him not being home.
What about the gate? Isn't there a camera at the gated community?
The prosecution had nothing. Basically, they had their whole thing was, how can this woman just be dead and he was the only one home?
Right.
Which, I mean,
on all the Law and Order episodes I've ever seen, yeah, it's the guy did it.
So the case becomes kind of like a
circumstantial to some degree.
Circumstantial and like a battle of experts. So the prosecution has their medical examiner who says she died of asphyxiation, mechanical asphyxiation. And they even bring
res ipsa loquitur.
Yeah, but that doesn't work for murder.
It doesn't?
It's for negligence.
That means the thing speaks for itself.
Yes. So like if there's nothing else, it's got to be what caused it, but that doesn't really fly in a murder trial.
Doesn't fly for murder.
So,
it's a dead body. You must have killed it.
Yeah. So it becomes a battle of experts. Their medical examiner says mechanical asphyxiation. They have two medical examiners in Florida who corroborate each other. And then the prosecution, one of their key witnesses was plastic surgeon Tracy Baker.
Oh.
So
I knew there'd be a plastic surgery angle. By the way, I know Tracy.
Leela had a breast augmentation 6 months prior to her death.
Okay.
So basically the prosecution wants to go over her whole medical clearance to show that she had no pre-existing heart conditions that would cause her to just suddenly drop dead. Tracy Baker says that she was totally healthy.
It's a he, by the way.
Yeah, Tracy Baker's a he.
Yeah.
He's very snazzy, too. He was dressed in, like, a black T-shirt and a black blazer. And
he's a snazzy dude.
Yeah.
He's always been snazzy.
Yeah, and he didn't want to be
He was, like, born snazzy.
But he's pretty emphatic that nothing was wrong with Leela. She didn't have congestive heart failure. Her heart was fine.
Congenital heart failure.
No, he said congestive.
Congestive?
Yeah.
Why would he say congestive?
Because that's what the prosecution, that's what they were saying. Like, she was in congestive heart failure without knowing from this myocarditis.
What? In congestive heart failure from myocarditis and not knowing.
Yeah.
No.
Whatever.
Well, they didn't ask you to testify.
No. You're right. If you have myocarditis, you can, and your heart is weak and inflamed and not working right, you can go on congestive heart failure. But how can you do that without knowing? Is the question.
I don't know. So Tracy's emphatic that nothing was wrong with her heart and she was fine.
Right.
So the other thing they kind of bring to tarnish Adam's reputation is, so a couple of months after Lena's death, he starts sleeping with this woman.
Well, I mean, he's a studly dude.
So they get her up on the stand, but it doesn't really make Adam look bad because she says that we were friends. He was always, it didn't get any further than that because he was always emotionally unavailable because he was grieving for his wife, which he told her when their relationship started.
Right.
And it just kind of fizzled out after a while. So it didn't really make Adam look like
terrible,
sinister, that he was
not like that Dr. Bornbaum guy who was out in the Hamptons, like sleeping with everybody that moved.
It didn't come off like that. It just came off like he was looking for some comfort, when he was grieving for his wife.
If I were on the jury, I'd be like, guilty.
You can't look at another woman for how many years after you kill I mean,
at least half the amount of years you were married.
Really? How long were they married?
7 years.
Yeah. That's really sad.
It's 2.5 years too early.
But what was interesting that he does a little differently than we do, he doesn't do like a full medical clearance on anyone under 50.
Really?
He just did blood work.
That's very old-timey.
Yeah, so he did blood work. He goes through like their consultation and her medical clearance and the EKG they have, like during her surgery, her heart responded fine.
Yeah.
Like she had no issues. She had no complications. She did really well. She's young, healthy. ASA class 2 though, which is an anesthesia classification that, or maybe you want to explain it?
Yeah,
Doctor?
so like if you have no medical conditions, you're an ASA 1.
Right.
We operate on mostly ASA1 people, perfectly healthy.
Right.
If you have another medical condition, diabetes, blood pressure, thyroid issues, then you go to class 2. And if you have multiple, you're class 3.
Right. Did it used to be out of 5?
And 5, I think, is like there is. I think it does go to 5
Oh,
or
it does.
6.
Oh, I thought it
No,
only
but
went
you
to
won't
3.
you won't see any 5s here. 5
okay.
are most likely not going to survive the operation.
Got it.
So, like
So
in a hospital, you'll operate on 4s and 5s because they're dying.
Oh, so here in
But here, you'll never see anything over a 3 here.
right.
And
So
usually not more than a 2.
right. So she was a 2 because she was an occasional smoker. So that put her in the class.
An
2.
occasional smoker puts you in 2?
Yeah.
You're not perfectly healthy if you occasionally smoke?
Yeah, because your lungs are damaged and they're going to put you under anesthesia. Now, we do full medical clearance here.
Yeah.
And I'm paranoid.
Yes.
So we do overkill, EKG,
Right.
even chest x-rays and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But even that, if she had a heart condition, unless it was blatantly obvious, it won't even come up on a standard EKG
Right.
or a physical examination. We all know stories of athletes, like Bronny. LeBron's kid just had a heart attack in the middle of practice. I mean, you can be perfectly healthy and still have your heart stop. So
Right.
I'm not sure that prosecution is
So
going to be that persuasive.
So the experts on the defense side, they bring medical examiners from like New York and other states. So the medical examiners that he gets say that she has myocarditis. And then the other tactic the defense did was to kind of talk about how the cop, the detective Angulo, was a rookie cop and kind of bungled this whole case.
Right.
So he didn't know what he was doing. It was his first murder, and there was like a few things in the like evidence gathering that were mishandled. So first, that whole magazine rack, which was like Adam's whole like theory of the case, that she fell over this thing and that's how she had marks in her neck. The magazines were gone. They never examined the actual magazines like that could have made the marks on her neck. Like they took the magazine rack, but not the magazines in them.
Oh, okay.
So that was gone.
Okay.
And then when they're questioning the CSI woman, they're asking her why she did this, why she didn't test the magazines, And she said that Detective Angulo said it wasn't important. And then they ask her, do you socialize with him? And she says no. Then she comes the next day and goes back on the stand and admits that she and him had an affair.
So she perjured herself the day before.
She did. And then they ask her, like, you lied. And she's like, well, I didn't think it was relevant to the case. And my husband knows about it. And we don't have this issue anymore. And they were like, yeah, but you lied. So they basically kind of made the detectives and the police look suspicious and untrustworthy, and that they messed up this whole investigation. And then the clincher is that Leela's mother testifies for Adam.
For the defense.
For the defense. She gets on the stand and says, Adam didn't do this. Adam loved my daughter. He did not kill her. She admits that Leela had fainting spells as a child and that she had also called her that time she fainted, like when she had the baby. They just people do that. They have like a health issue. They feel better and then they forget about it.
Right.
So, and she says emphatically that she doesn't think Adam did it.
What a great mother-in-law.
Yeah.
But why didn't she work up the fainting spells when she was a child?
I think she said they went to the doctor and the doctor kind of disregarded it.
Wow.
So then the jury goes to deliberate. 8 hours later, Adam is not guilty. So what do you guys think? By the way, this is all opinion, not defamation. We're just talking about our opinions.
So my opinion
We have to give
is
a really
that
vague opinion.
my takeaways from this are 2 things. One, and let me caveat this, I will never commit a murder. I can't kill a fly. But if I was going to kill a person, do it in Aventura, do it with a rookie cop, have a twin brother show up on the scene to confuse people, and have a super mother-in-law that is like a ride or die mother-in-law, and you will get off. But I don't think he did it. Based on the evidence, it was pretty weak. Definitely not beyond a reasonable doubt. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it was enough to convict him, but I always think the man is guilty.
Right.
Yeah, he probably didn't.
He just snapped?
No, he just probably didn't.
I remember from the...
What if the mom was involved?
Why would she be involved? What's the motive?
What if the mom didn't really like her daughter to begin with, and then she married a man and it made her like her daughter more, and now her daughter's dead, and she sides with the son?
Well, actually, the prosecution and Lena's mom got really mad, and in the closing statement basically said that Lena's mom did that because she wanted to be part of her grandchildren's lives. So she didn't want to piss off Adam.
Right.
But if he got convicted, that wouldn't be an issue either.
Right. But at
he
the
can
same
fight
time,
for
it's
his
such a
parents.
it's such a weak case. Like she probably saw the
Right.
writing on the wall.
And she got really mad during the closing statement. She had to be escorted out of the courtroom
Really?
because she's like, "Are you calling me a liar?" And the judge made her leave.
I don't know.
I like
So
that.
I would look into that. Does she have sons? Did she feel like Adam was a replacement son? Did she always want a son instead of a daughter? Did they have a rocky relationship before? I would have looked into that. I don't know.
Well, we'll
Moms
never
moms
know.
are weird.
We'll never know. But
With
but I will
boys.
say this. I will say this. Adam, from what I remember, is a big guy, and Lena was a very tiny person. So like it wouldn't take,
Much.
like of Mice and Men.
Yes. George. He
Yeah,
was like George.
yeah.
But you
or
know what
Lenny
makes
or
me
whatever.
think?
Yeah.
Like
Lenny. I met Lenny.
Lenny. The little mouse. It's
Yeah.
possible that they, he didn't know his own strength.
No, but do you know what also makes me think is like not victim blaming, but if someone is like asphyxiating, like if you can't breathe,
yeah.
you're not the only person in the house. Why not take like those moments that you are conscious and alert the person who's there?
That would be. You're right. That's right. You're right.
So,
if she has
if she
time
couldn't
enough
breathe,
to scratch,
If she's there scratching and stuff like that, like why didn't she go and try to like alert her husband unless he was the one doing it?
or unless it was too far away from where she was.
How big is the fucking house?
If you're going down, like when you,
Yeah,
She's
but
in
if,
the bathroom.
if your heart stops, like you've seen it happen, like we saw
But
in the
her
middle of
heart
that football game.
but
Yeah.
her heart didn't immediately
it only
stop.
takes a few seconds for you to go down.
We don't know how long it took.
Well, it was long enough for her to grab her neck,
Yeah.
let's say, but maybe not much more. I mean, it could have
Like,
been
if-
very quick.
Like I don't know. I like at least I feel like she would have made her way toward him. Like she wouldn't have been in the bathroom. Like he's obviously not gonna be in the bathroom.
Right.
So that makes me think.
I would love to see the crime scene pictures, frankly. I mean, the alleged crime scene pictures, like how the body was and that sort of thing. Did that come up?
No, because he was doing CPR on her.
Oh,
right?
right.
He moved the body.
Yeah.
Right.
Which they also said could have been a reason why she had marks on her body from
Of course.
misdone CPR.
First of all, even well done CPR, often anybody listening that's
Or
done
from
CPR,
the paramedics moving her also.
you can crack ribs easily, especially in a young person who's skinny and little like she is. I mean, you could easily crack ribs easily. And yeah, paramedics sometimes in the rush to intubate. When you intubate, you push the neck back and you put your fingers in around, like open the jaw
Yeah.
so you can get your tube in. And paramedics, some of them are good at it. Some paramedics are not great at it.
Right.
Sometimes you put the tube in and it doesn't go in the right place and you have to take it out.
I think they did do multiple attempts for the intubation.
They did multiple attempts. Yeah. So
Yeah.
with multiple attempts, each time you're going to try to crack the neck back further, like,
Right.
jerk it back and
Right.
hold it steady. You could for sure leave marks, 100%.
Right. So that was also one of the things.
Okay, so maybe he didn't do it, but I don't know. I'm always impartial. I'm always partial.
There
to
was
the man doing it.
one of those like Dateline shows. They did an
To
episode
catch a
on it.
predator.
They did an episode on it, and they actually got their own independent medical examiner to review the case.
What'd they say?
It was the myocarditis. He said it
Really?
wasn't asphyxiation. He said it was absolutely not. She had like weakened heart muscle and I don't
Right.
know what, and that's how she died.
Right.
So he wasn't for the defense or for the prosecution. He was just an independent guy on the show.
So he didn't do it.
So that was kind of compelling. When I first started researching, I thought for sure he did it because how else could she have died? But I don't know. There's a lot of doubt.
What about the warm car? It's just Florida.
Yeah, it's probably
It's nighttime.
I don't know.
No, it's still hot out. Come on.
Hot enough to warm, like the
Maybe it was
touch of
Seth's
a
car.
warmth.
Who knows? They were
Oh, maybe it was
touching.
maybe it
I
was
don't
the
know.
twin brother came
Who knows?
over.
If he had Robert Birnbaum's lawyer, they would have convicted
Yeah,
him.
he happened to spend a lot of money on his legal team. He had like top-notch lawyers, which he mentions in one of his interviews that he
Yeah.
feels bad for people who don't have the resources to get a good defense because he was lucky to get a good defense.
Right. Right. And he was also lucky that the detectives had an affair.
Yeah. And he also he lives in a close-knit amateur community and
Right.
he still, is a little bit ostracized because of all this. I don't know. This was in 2012. I don't know what he's up to now. He's
Right.
still a real estate person. I saw him on a
Right.
website.
Right.
And his kids are teenagers now. I mean, I don't think he did it, but it is weird that she just dropped dead like that.
If what you're saying is like that, the independent
Yeah.
examiner was like, "Oh yeah, it's this underlying heart condition."
Yeah.
God forbid, Santina, you could go at any time.
Why me? I'm literally like the
Like-
youngest person here.
Yeah, Lena was young.
She was still 10 years older than Santina.
Got like at least another decade.
At least another decade. Just leave the door open when you go to the bathroom, just in case.
I've only fainted once.
Well,
You're fine.
that was a good episode. So the plastic surgeon testified that she was healthy.
Yes.
The defense said that she died from a spray tan. That was their first theory of the case.
The bail hearing. It didn't. Nobody really bought that.
Yeah,
But
that
that's
was a
so
weird
kind
one.
of. Besides that, obviously you live in Florida and would hear about it, but that kind of made it more national. The spray tan murder, they were called the spray tan death, the spray tan. It was like the Twinkie defense.
Yeah. The Twinkies made him kill.
Yeah.
Made her kill. Well, thank you very much,
Yes,
Rosie.
so-
That was very interesting. And I had a little local angle with a local
Yes.
plastic surgeon.
So you guys could go on crimeandplastic.com and send us your comments of what you think.
Yeah, or if you know where Adam is and what he's up to.
Yeah, let us know.